Hi everybody, Colin Shadwell back for another pottery video. This time I'm making flower frog bowls. You might be asking yourself, what is a flower frog? I know I asked myself that question, and this is what a flower frog is. This is a little base that has these tiny little pins that stick out, and you can take individual flowers and put their stems and they'll stick straight up, and you put this at the bottom of the bowl, fill the bowl with water, and you have this pretty little flower arrangement. So my mother-in-law gets props for giving me the idea to make these, so I'm going to try to make two different versions right now, and let's check them out. So there's really nothing too crazy with these guys. I'm just going to make bowls. I'm going to make the base a bit thicker because I have to have a little indentation where I can actually put the little flower frog, that's hard to say, flower frog down into. So I'm just going to kind of make like a regular flared out bowl, just kind of like the ones I did in the previous videos with the berry bowls. This one's going to be flared out just a bit more, a bit wider. I don't want these to be too incredibly deep. But you can see I've left it kind of flat. Go ahead and smooth out the inside. And then I'm just going to make a little indentation here. I've kind of measured out with some calipers how wide the little flower frogs are. And of course I need to make it just a little bit wider to account for the drying of it. So since this is going to be a flower kind of bowl, I thought I'd give it a little floral kind of rim on the top. So I'm just using some indentations here to kind of give it a little flower decorative piece. You can see here, this is still pretty early in the stages. I'll come back and clean this up quite a bit, but that's a good start for that one. And then once I get this dried out a bit, I'm going to add a little texture because I'm going to use some really kind of opalescent glazes that'll show off texture really well. So I'm just going to do some chattering on the inside here and then kind of give some little border lines as well, so it kind of gives a beginning and ending to the chatter. And then just come back and carve a really deep foot on this, since I left a lot of room at the base for the frog. And you can see these flower ones can be tough to trim sometimes. This one kind of came off center a little bit, so I'm trying to a few different configurations to try to get this guy to stay still. So that one kind of came off me a little bit, but luckily it didn't go flying off the wheel. So now I'm back to trimming this guy, but because I left a lot of space at the bottom for the flower frog on the inside, I have plenty of room to trim a pretty deep foot on this. So I just try to be really steady with my trimming, just taking little bits off at a time and then checking and tapping to make sure the sound sounds right. I'm not getting too close to the middle part where the frog is on the other side. And then just making a nice rounded over foot, coming back in, taking a little bit more. And then again, I want to add some texture on this as well, so I'm going to come back eventually, and on the outside I think I'm going to add some chattering on this one as well. So making sure I have a nice smooth surface to work with on the side. And then picking a chatter tool here. I have 5 or 6 different chatter tools now. Each one kind of makes a different pattern. This one's just kind of got some dots going back and forth on it. And again, putting some lines above and below. And that's that one. Now for this one, I'm doing one that's a bit more opened up, a little more widened out. So I'm going to start with a slightly flatter base and then really pull this guy open. Shrink him down, pull him open, push him down, pull him open, so I get a really wide base on this. I'm going to kind of make a little multi-tiered step up to my flower frog. So I'm just going to have a little raised dais, a slight platform on the top, and then again making a little space for the flower frog to fit into. And now I'm going to open this up really slowly. Now this is a shape that I've been working on. It's difficult. It goes out and then comes back in a little bit, which can be kind of hard to do because that top part wants to collapse on you pretty easily. So you got to be really slow. And I typically let mine dry a little bit and then come back and bend them over a little bit. So you can see that it goes out at the bottom, and then at the top it kind of comes back in almost at a pretty severe angle. So I've had a few of these collapse on me in previous years. So I'm slowly getting better at them, but not a bad start there. So once I get this guy dried out to leathered hard stage, I'm going to come back in. I decided just to do something a little different. I do a little chatter on the part that comes back on the top, just kind of give it some decorative effects, and then give myself a little place to start here. And then I'm going to come back with just the rounded over rib part of my carving tool and just do some lines flaring out from that at random lengths. Trying not to get two next to each other that are exactly the same, but it kind of gives it a cool little sunburst effect. I thought was kind of neat. And it's kind of mesmerizing to work on too, because you just kind of get lost in making these little lines. So this one's pretty easy to do. And then I decided to come back, since I thought the middle part looked a little plain, and just put some little grooves inside this part as well. Sorry about my head getting in the way there. This was still a little wetter than it needed to be, but I was ready to work on it. So now I'm just going to flip this guy over and make a really nice, large, wide flat foot on this one as well. Now these guys, since they're so low, they don't tend to get too crazy, but you still have to be really careful, especially on these, that you don't carve actually into the piece. I came really close to getting too far deep, especially on the edges. You got to realize how far the inside of your bowl goes, so that you know how deep to go on the bottom part as well. So I want to try to get rid of as much weight as possible. I don't want my bowls to be super duper heavy, so I'm just trying to get rid of some excess clay here, while also trying to make it look nice and smooth. And always trying to look from the side as well. You never want to just get caught looking from the top, because from the top it looks pretty nice. It's got a nice deep foot. It's got a nice rounded over edge. But you look at the side, you might see that your angle on the side of your bowl looks kind of wrong. So always checking back and forth, and then coming back and smoothing everything out. And then on this one, I just make a little spiral on the middle part there, and I think that's all I do. So that's it. So here's the first one from the side. You can see it's got a nice little chatter on the bottom and some nice waves on the top. And then if you look at it from the top part in the middle, you can see the flower frog fits nicely down in there. So this will be probably halfway filled with water up to the chatter marks there, and then flowers be coming out of it, sticking straight up, which will make a nice effect. And then here's the lower, shorter one. Very simple on the outside. It's got that checkered, tattered chatter tool on the top. And then from the inside, it's got that nice little starburst. So both of these will make nicely glazed little bowls, and they should make nice, pretty flower arrangements. So I hope you enjoyed watching these videos, and stay tuned for more.